Hi everyone, I'm Geoff Hall with Around Town, and I'm here this morning with Pattie Pichette, who is the Executive Director of the Roudenbush Community Center. Pattie, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Pattie, we actually spoke with you last fall. I did a TV show, and we covered the history with Ellen Hardy at the beginning, and spoke with you and spoke with Donna DeShane and Ellen Wright about the programs over there. The focus of this show today is going to be a little bit different because there's a proposal to do some major renovations at the Roudenbush Community Center. And we're going to talk about that, Pattie, and you can give us some input as to what's going to be done over there. I want to give a brief history of the building. I'm going to call it the Reader's Digest version, Pattie. It was constructed in 1897, and what a beautiful building it is from the outside. You just don't see them like this anymore. And it was built in 1897 by the Westford Academy trustees, and it was built as the second Westford Academy. The first one is the present-day Westford Museum. And it operated as a high school up until 1955.
Correct.
At that time, it was the academy moved to the Abbott Middle School, we know as the Abbott Middle School. I graduated from there, okay, in 1966. The building was used, though, as a classroom off and on during that 20-year period. It didn't close down completely. I was there as 6th and 7th grade from 1959 to 1961. As the town grew, when the Abbott was built, it covered 7 through 12. And as the town grew, they eliminated the 7th grade, they eliminated the 8th grade, and they needed a place to put them. It was a period of tremendous growth in the community. By the mid-70s, the building had pretty much been abandoned by the school department, the New Westford Academy on Patton Road. And at that particular time, Avis Hooper, who you have a room named after her, and Ellen Hardy, and some other people in town organized what became the Roudenbush Community Center. If the people want the details of how that all came out, tune into the show that we did last fall. Ellen gave a great explanation of that. So here we are, 41 years later, 2016, and we're talking about major renovations to the building. Let me ask you, Pattie, it's a 120-year-old building. What are some of the obvious issues with the building that you get?
Well, I would have to say electrical is, there are some parts of the building that have been rewired. Every room has some outlets that are newer than others, but there are times when we certainly blow circuits.
Okay.
Because somebody's running something in one room and it's connected to the other room. I've done it myself. And sometimes we end up in the dark. But more often than not. I mean, we're very careful about that, but we do have extension cords running because we just don't have the number of outlets that probably code would say nowadays would be. And our heating system, although it was replaced not that many years back, it's an old steam-operated heating system. So almost every room has an additional space heater of some kind.
Okay.
Because the rooms get very, very cold. Yesterday my office was 61 degrees, and it was all day. We're hovering between 59 and 61.
Wow.
It's very cold. And when my office is cold, then the front office is warm. When theirs is cold, then it's the reverse.
That's crazy. Yeah.
It is. It's just the way the systems have been set up. The plumbing is very old in the building. A couple of the, all of the bathrooms are old. A few on the second floor are older than the others. So those are kind of some of just the things we see. I'm sure there's things behind the walls,
Yeah,
and behind the
okay.
scenes that we just don't see, that are the older things that need to be brought up to date.
You know, it's funny you mentioned the outlets. It reminded me, I bought my house in 1978, and it was built in 1918. And one of the things we realized when we moved in is that the lack of outlets, well, the town was being wired at that time, and people just did not use the electricity that we use today. So you had one outlet in one room.
Right.
I'm sure it was the same thing with the original academy. I think that section of town was probably electrified probably around 1910 or so, but I'm not sure of that. But I can identify with that type of a problem. And it must make for whatever activities that go on there difficult if you're in a room that's cold, especially with kids, I would imagine. Yeah.
Well, we try to make sure the classrooms are at least have the majority of the heat. I mean, I can put on a coat. I don't want to see the kids having to do that.
But you'd have to put a space heater within those rooms, yeah. Okay. How about accessibility? When we talk about accessibility, what type, or the lack of it, that you have in the building today?
I'll use you and I as an example, if I may. I've had a knee replacement.
This is one thing we have in common.
And so last fall, there were many weeks I couldn't come back to work because I couldn't get into the building. So when the executive director suddenly couldn't come into the building, I think a lot of people took note of that I was working from home until I could make it up the stairs. And this has posed a problem not just for myself, but we've had a couple of situations that we've had to deal with. There was we were offering a cooking class not that long ago, and our kitchen is on the second floor. And there was a woman who was handicapped who had signed up for the class and wasn't aware of the fact that she was going to have to go up these 2 flights of stairs. We had staff members that helped her, assisted her up the stairs. It took 20 minutes for her to get up.
Wow.
So it's things like that. We're also looking at not just the building itself, but the accessibility of our playgrounds as well. We had a little boy last year who developed a virus, and the virus caused him to be paralyzed from the waist down. Fortunately, he now can walk. But at that time, he had to sit on the outside of the playground and just watch the kids play.
You mean the playgrounds in the back of the building?
That particular playground, but we're looking at all 3 of our playgrounds, the one at Frost and also the one at Old Nab, to bring those up to date. I've applied for a few grants in hopes that can happen around shortly after the building gets rehabbed, that we can start working on that for the 65 Main. So to me, it didn't make a lot of sense to bring the building up to code for accessibility and have children there who now could come to our classes, but now can't play in the playground. So
and that's what the playgrounds are there for.
Right.
Absolutely.
So we're trying to do things in sequence with one another so that it's accessible all the way around, and we can proudly say that Roudenbush is an accessible organization. So
I think one of the notes I get says you had Cameron Senior Center members have to read to the children, but they have no access either.
Right. We recently were approached by them, and a Girl Scout troop who wanted to bring Cameron seniors in to read to our students and to kind of do a almost like an adopt a grandparent kind of program. And unfortunately, we can't do it in our building. There's no way for the majority of them to be able to. Even if we had the kids on the first floor, we have the front steps coming up, and the side steps are just as many steps on the inside of the building that you can't see. So we've got that situation as well.
How about the structure of the building, Patty? The structure itself. Roof leaks or anything like that?
We do have a leaky roof in the gym. We do have that problem. Do
you know how old the roof is? I mean, the roofing that's on there now?
I don't know. From what I believe the architect said, it did not appear to be overly old, but it's a flat roof. And they tend to get damaged more readily than other roofs. And there's now so many different materials. But at certain days, if we have a storm where the rain's coming in horizontally, that tends to be the time when it just lifts up whatever's there. And it could rain today, it's just coming down, it's probably not leaking if it's coming straight down. So it really depends, it's all dependent on that type of storm that we've got coming in.
And when it does leak, it does damage on the inside, which would cost somewhere down the road.
Right.
If it's not repaired then.
I know some of the closets that are off of the gym, there are times you can smell mold, and it's in the walls down there. We're sure of it, just because of what we're smelling. On a normal day, we don't smell anything, but we're constantly got the Febreze out.
Yeah, okay.
And I just advertise for Febreze, and it works.
When you say closet space, is this new closets that have been put in, or old closets that have been there since the building was built?
These closets have been there since the building was built.
Okay.
There are a few in the gym that are newer closets, but they're still old, in all aspects.
Well, once again, I refer to my house, which was built in 1918, and one of the things we found is they had closet space. They didn't have that much clothing. So they didn't worry about building a lot of storage space like that.
We don't have storage at the present time. There's another issue right there, is the lack of storage that we have. We just don't have it.
Will that be resolved?
Oh,
I mean, is that all
yes.
part of the plan then? Yeah.
Yes.
And I imagine with the different activities, you could have one thing going on. Where the heck do we put this stuff so that when the next group comes in? So.
And that's all in the plans too. We have one back hallway off of the Avis Hooper room lounge and off of room 2 that currently is a hallway that has a set of stairs that goes out. That will now not be that way. It will be storage for us.
Okay.
And even on the 3rd floor, just opening up right now, that is our storage, but it will be much more precise that certain areas are storage, not just a big, huge area that is not utilized as well.
How about the ghost on the 3rd floor? How does he feel about that? Or he, I think it was.
No, I think he's moved down to my office.
There was a segment on Roudenbush that I know George had done when he was here on the ghost on the 3rd floor. When I was there, Patty, as I said, in the early 60s, in the 6th and 7th grade, the 3rd floor was closed off. We didn't use it at all. So,
because of the ghost?
Well, no, I don't know. There was not a need for it at the time. But, as we're talking about the structure of the building, I want to kind of relate something there, because I brought some of my classmates 5 years ago on our 45th anniversary, kind of on a tour. We went into the Roudenbush at the time. And, of course, we walked through the... came in the front door, and where your room is, that was the principal's office. So, and across from there was where Avis Hooper room was my math class, and Mr. Perry, who was the principal, was in there. And they were fascinated. We went upstairs, we walked through, we saw the old classrooms. Will that change?
No.
No. So someone coming back could really get an appreciation of the old. But you did mention some changes, for example.
But one of the things when the architect has been coming through, he has been so wonderful in speaking to my staff and to me about the things, what do you want changed, what don't you want changed. And the aesthetics of the building was one thing we all agreed on, that this is a historic building that we need to preserve and maintain the best we can. And we were insistent that the newel post stayed, the staircases remained intact.
With the woodwork going up?
Exactly.
Oh, that's terrific.
I mean,
that's like the Sergeant School, the Sergeant School, which became senior housing. I mean, I went there, and I go in, and I say, that's the same staircase as I had when I was here.
Yeah.
So you'll see the same thing when you go in.
You'll see the same thing. A number of the rooms they're all going to have new ceilings put in for the purposes of heat and air conditioning and that kind of thing. But we're keeping the preservation of how those rooms looked the best to our ability, because we want it that way. Even there was talk about changing my door, which sounds like a minor thing of what's the big deal. To me, it was a big deal that The way the door was built, I can see right out into that hallway. The kids can pop their heads in and say hello, just as they did when you went to school and just as they did back when Mr. Roudenbush was the principal.
Just as they did when I visited a couple of weeks ago. The little
That's
girl
right.
ran right in.
That's right.
Open door policy
Yep.
right there.
Yeah, and I mean, I sit oftentimes and I look up those stairs and I can imagine the kids running back 100 years ago. And on days when there
That
aren't
was before me 100 years ago.
Okay. Are you sure? And the days we have no school in town, our building is full and it's bustling, and it brings back that time. When the kids, you could hear them clamoring on the stairs and that kind of thing. And it's we want that to stay. We really do.
That's terrific. But the third floor will change, you said.
The third floor is going to change, in our opinion, for the good. The woodwork that's up there will remain, as much of it as we can possibly salvage and save, because it's beautiful. It's beautiful knotty pine woodwork up there on the ceilings and on the walls, the wainscoting. It's beautiful. But currently it is 3 rooms, one larger than the other. The larger room will remain a larger room that will either be utilized as a conference room. It's got the big windows that look out. That, and it can also be utilized as an exercise, yoga room, thing like that. But we've also talked about the possibility of maybe renting out that space for weddings, because it would be kind of a unique place to have one. The other 2 rooms will be utilized as classrooms, office space, and storage. So they'll be done, but they're trying to maintain as much of the floors and that kind of stuff they can without us losing heat.
Well,
and that type of thing.
Let me stop you there. You say that it's, they can be used for all these purposes, but the people with bad knees and the seniors, how are they going to get up there?
We got an elevator that's going to be installed, hopefully.
That's all part of the plan,
It's all part of the plan. And it will go right to the 3rd floor. There's handicapped accessible bathrooms that are going to be put in on every floor. So the elevator will stop at every single floor. The main entrance will stay looking exactly as it does now, but the entrance that'll be utilized the most, if you're facing the building, will be to the right. And when you walk in, it'll be a solid floor that goes around a corner to the elevator, or you can go up a set of stairs up to the 1st floor. So you'll have your options of either taking the stairs that are currently there, or going around the corner and taking the elevator.
Which brings me kind of to my next topic is, what will we see after the renovation? You've explained some of it, but go into what will they, well, first of all, the integrity of the outside of the building, this beautiful building, that changes not at all, correct?
No. They were very careful with the ventilation and everything, of not even having to go through the roof. Because with the engineering and that kind of thing, with the elevator, you need some ventilation. But because of where it's being placed, they're not going to have to do that. So that was a wonderful thing. The roof will be replaced. The slate roof will be redone. Back to slate, though. It's going to be the same.
Is that the 120 years old?
Some of it was done not that many years ago, about 25 years maybe ago, maybe sooner. Some of it was done, but not all of it was done. As far as the basement floor, that's the connection to the gymnasium. There'll be a waiting area now for the parents, which we don't have now. If you were to come on any given day,
awful.
Come on any given day, you see a lot of them sitting on the ramp going up to the gym on the floor with their little ones, or there's a small couch area around the corner. But they'll actually have a waiting room with a window, so they can watch their children at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Which is
terrific.
that's a nice thing. There'll be a larger office space for our marketing and development office and for our finance.
Donovan Allen's job?
Yeah. And
I was amazed when I went down there. And I have to say this, when I went down to speak to them, this is last fall, and I said, this is like a cubbyhole. I mean, it is small, and I think you have to be in it to appreciate how cramped they are down there.
It is. That office actually had a problem with the pipes breaking and they had a flood there 2 years ago, just
Okay.
before I came on board. So that office has actually all been redone within
Okay.
the last 2 years. But it will be bigger, and it will be more open for them, and that kind of thing.
Building is secure? I mean, it's security in the building?
There isn't presently secure. Our security is that I can see anyone who comes in, the office people can, people sign in and out. But because of where the main entrance will be now located for the majority of people to come in, there will be some type of a security system of a camera and that kind of thing. So the people from the main office can see who's coming in, request that they sign in down there, so that we have an idea of who's entering the building. So that'll be a total change, and it's necessary. I hate to say it, but in this day and age, it's necessary.
In this day and age, it's becoming more and more of an issue. And I've seen changes in the last 20 years or so. When I was at the State House, and just going into the schools, any of the schools, and you want it that way. You know, it's an unfortunate circumstance, but that's today's world.
Right.
So.
And it's our job to keep our
And it's your job,
younger
absolutely.
citizens safe,
Absolutely.
as well as all the community out there. So
Yeah.
we'll be able to offer so many more things for the community and for everyone, and it'll be all inclusive. And right now, there are days I feel bad it's not inclusive. And, you know, that we've had to.
Because of the accessibility, yeah.
We've been able to offer programs at Abbott and places like that if we do have somebody who lets us know ahead of time that they have some type of accessibility issues. And we've been able to accommodate that, but it still makes that individual feel that they're different, and we don't want anyone feeling like they're different.
Okay. So we go into detail. Renovations of areas of the building. You said the entire thing would be renovated, but in many ways not changed. Okay.
Correct.
So if I go into the building, I see much of Roudenbush as I knew it growing up, and probably as my dad knew it when he graduated from there in 1937. Adding space on the third floor. Okay. An elevator will make all floors accessible. How will this make a big difference to the town?
As I said, there's so many people in the community that we can't reach out to in our own building.
Yeah.
And it's nice that we do bring some of our programs out to the community, but we have a beautiful building that it's a gift. The town is totally blessed to have this building, and we want to share it. We want to be able to share the programs, the wonderful things that we have, and from senior citizens all the way down to the infants, that we've got things to offer. We've got a program coming up next Monday. Stacy Peasley is coming. She's a children's entertainer.
Okay.
And we've invited all of our classrooms to come, but also the public to come too and bring the smaller children. But if they've got any kind of handicapped accessibilities, they may have a problem. We're doing the program in the gym for that reason,
It makes
because
it easy,
most of the people will, it's 1 or 2 steps in versus 11 coming into the building. But it's for those reasons that we've got art on walls that we want to share with people. Once a month we have an artist of the month.
And it's not like there haven't been changes there, Pat. There is, as I said, when I went there in the gymnasium, there was a stage.
Wish it was still there.
and it kind of brought back memories of my Thanksgiving Day presentation that I had to make on that stage when I was in the 6th grade. But
you want to share a little of that? Right
No,
now?
that's okay.
Okay.
That's okay. That was not the stepping stone to this show, believe me. But there have been changes. The Ava Super Room is smaller. You said it's going to be bigger.
It's going to go back to its original
size. Yeah. So there have been changes along the way. We need to, I guess, if nothing was done, Pattie, if nothing's done, what happens?
I would say probably in 5 years, maybe even sooner, there's going to be areas of the building that will have to be closed off.
And when does it get to the point where
it's
if
too
nothing's
late.
done, where it's too late?
And I've seen that in so many towns. You drive through, you see an old school and it's boarded up. Does Westford want to see that? I don't think so.
I don't think they want to see
I
that
mean,
to this beautiful gem.
No, and it's just as you drive by, the meticulous grounds and everything else, I mean, you can't help but notice this building. It's been maintained well. Now's the time, though. I kind of bring it to everybody who buys an old home. You start in that first room making your repairs, and you make your way through your home, and then you get to the end, and guess where you're going to go? Back to the beginning. Well, we're back to the beginning now, and it needs to be done. It's just before it's too late, and before the town loses this beautiful gem of a building.
Well, as a townie, someone who went to the building, someone whose dad went to the building, and all my aunts, it means something special to me. And I think people who have come to the town that are not townies, as they rode through the town and saw this beautiful building, it certainly helps sell them to the community, and its value for the number of programs it offers. The historical value, I think, is invaluable, I think is my best way of putting it. So I'm glad it's being done, and I'm concerned that if we don't do something soon, as you said, it may be too late.
Yep.
And then, what happens then? But all of these renovations take place. Are you going to be there when they're taking place?
We have to move out for 18 months.
Wow, okay. You want to talk a little bit? We got a couple minutes left. Can you explain where you go from here?
We're not sure.
Okay.
I'm sure that, the John Mangiarotti and Jody Ross from the town have been very helpful in are planning to help us to find that space. We're going to do our networking of asking people out there if they know of a space. We're probably going to be a little disconnected for a while of our gym program being in one location because we have our gymnastics programs.
I know, my granddaughter just made the first team over there.
Yay!
Yay, Rachel!
Of our education programs being in another location and our offices being another. It'd be great if we could all stay together, but I think it's probably for a while we'll be a little disconnected, and we ask the town's support with that, of continuing to appreciate and join our programs that we have to offer during that time.
But the schools and you've worked with those programs, you've found these people as accommodating, very accommodating, I'm sure.
Yes.
And that's one of the things the town has always done while it's pulled together for something like this. So, look, so we're running low on time, and we probably haven't answered all the questions. And this is going to be in town meeting,
It is.
April 2nd. And so, and the architect is going to be there that day.
He is. He's going to do a presentation. This particular thing that's going to be on Article 11 is for the continued support of the constructional plans for it, so that hopefully then we can move forward beyond that. But he will be there to answer all questions.
Some of the technical questions that I wouldn't know how to ask you, and he would have the answer to.
Yes.
So I guess my message to people is, I think it's a valuable asset to the community, and to go to town meeting and hear what has to be said, and you'll make up your own mind. But I'll be with you, Patty.
Thank
you for
so
coming on.
And thank you to all of you